As all of us search for answers or legislation or scapegoats in the wake of the Texas school massacre, there are major non-political, non-legislative actions we can take to prevent something like this from happening again, which we'll discuss. But first, this is not what we need. During a press conference today, Texas Democratic candidate for governor Beto O'Rourke interrupted the state's current Republican governor, Greg Abbott, to shout at Abbott and other Republican lawmakers about their response to the shooting.
No, please get his.
After he was escorted from the building, O'Rourke blasted Republican lawmakers for not doing enough.
He talked about that this was evil. The only thing evil is what he continues to do to the people of this state. He says this was unpredictable. It was totally predictable, and I predict this will continue to happen when you continue to have a governor who will not stand up for the people of Texas.
That outburst won't lead to progress. It may lead some in his base to applaud him, but little more. Now O'Rourke is hardly alone. Almost as soon as the news of the shooting became clear and just how bad the situation was, many on the left began hurling expletives at Republican lawmakers on social media, blaming them for the lack of movement on new gun control laws, both nationally and locally. Arizona Democratic Congressman Ruben Gallego called Ted Cruz an effing baby killer. And as is the case, after every mass shooting, Democrats made calls for tighter restrictions on gun ownership and new gun control laws.
How long will we take it, normalize it, until we demand change and hold politicians accountable for making the change that we know we need to make in this country?
What are we doing? Why do you spend all this time running for the United States Senate? Why do you go through all the hassle of getting this job, of putting yourself in a position of authority, if your answer is that as this slaughter increases, as our kids run for their lives, we do nothing?
As a nation, we have to ask, when in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby? It's time to turn this pain into action.
Look, I am a proponent of making it harder for guns to fall into the wrong hands, people who shouldn't have them. But I'm also not convinced that most gun control laws could be particularly effective. That said, we do need to do something. We all get the anger. But it doesn't do anything to stop the violence to just be angry. So let's focus on the most immediate lessons from this event and the others. Since the 2018 attack at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida in 2018, 17 dead, there have been more than 118 school shootings across the U.S. 118 school shootings in a little less than 4.5 years, according to Education Week. While the number of school shootings fell in 2020 compared to previous years, presumably based on homeschooling during COVID, they jumped back up last year and appear to be on the rise again, with 2022 already seeing more school shootings than in 2018 or 2019. But there's something almost all of these events had in common. Warning signs that went ignored by family and friends, school officials, and law enforcement alike. I'm not saying this to point fingers. I am saying it to offer something actionable for all of us. For instance, this Texas school shooter had become alienated from his friends and classmates and coworkers. Classmates say the shooter was known for fighting and threatening classmates. He was publicly torturing animals, and neighbors said that he was known to self-harm.
And he would touch himself, and he would tell his friends that his cat had scratched him. But later on he said, no, I did it myself.
That alone should have tipped off school officials, maybe law enforcement, to the fact that he posed a danger to himself and others. Classmates say he also rarely went to school, something confirmed by his grandfather.
This past year he didn't go to school. He didn't graduate, but he didn't go to school. You know, you tell them, and they think they know. Kids nowadays, they know everything.
Again, shouldn't someone from the school have checked in on a student who had effectively dropped out without warning? He's taken in by his grandparents after a falling out with his mother. His neighbors say he argued with his grandparents a lot. He went on to shoot his grandmother before going to the school. Investigators now going through his social media accounts, where he reportedly sent videos and photos of guns and images of animal abuse to a perfect stranger. Shouldn't that have tipped off, moderators on Instagram or Facebook who could have alerted local law enforcement? And if not that, what about the threats that he reportedly posted on Facebook about 30 minutes before the massacre began?
The first post was to the point of, he said, "I'm going to shoot my grandmother." The second post was, I shot my grandmother. The third post, maybe less than 15 minutes before arriving at the school, was, I'm going to shoot an elementary school.
Now, Facebook seems to have a pretty effective system of detecting threats. Should this have gotten highlighted? But look, the Uvalde shooting is just part of a wider pattern of missed red flags in the lead up to mass shootings over the years. For instance, the shooter charged in connection with the murders of 10 black people at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York, Saturday, allegedly wrote a paper as a senior in high school saying that he wanted to commit murder-suicide. While that prompted his school principal to file a report with New York State Police, the eventual shooter was released after a day and a half of mental health evaluation. His behavior wasn't flagged to authorities prior to the May 14th carnage. Last November, Ethan Crumbley allegedly killed 4 of his classmates, injured 7 others during a school shooting in Michigan. According to prosecutors, Crumbley's parents knew he was depressed, had a fascination with guns, had brought ammo to school, had drawn violent sketches on a math handout just hours before the shooting. The drawings were shown to his parents later that morning. Crumbley reportedly watched videos of other school shootings the morning of the attack. These are warning signs. According to the Secret Service, Connor Betts, who killed 9 and wounded 17 others at a bar in Dayton, Ohio in August 2019, had a history of disturbing behavior prior to his attack, including making a hit list in high school and showing footage of a mass shooting to a girlfriend. The FBI reported that Betts had a decade-long struggle with mental health issues. His friends and family had grown so used to his conduct, they didn't bother reporting him to authorities. In the Parkland case, more than a month before the shooting, the FBI was warned about the Parkland shooter, Nicholas Cruz, through his public tip line. According to a statement released in 2018, the caller gave law enforcement information about, quote, Cruz's gun ownership, desire to kill people, erratic behavior, and disturbing social media posts, as well as the potential of him conducting a school shooting. Then there's Dylan Roof, who in 2015 killed 9 people attending a Bible study at a predominantly black church in Charleston, South Carolina. Friends told the New York Daily News that 2 weeks before the shooting, Roof went on a bigoted rant while drunk about segregation and killing people. But all this shouldn't be surprising. According to a 2020 Secret Service report, it's common for the would-be attackers to alert someone or give some other kind of warning sign before a mass shooting. And that's where we all can do something. 2019 report found that in nearly 65% of attacks, the attacker had threatened someone in the past. That 57% of attackers made some sort of communication before the attack that should have raised alarms, but didn't, including sharing videos of previous mass attacks, making statements about their own imminent death, one case telling a school counselor about a dream they had about killing classmates. When these kids are saying they want to kill themselves or talk about killing their classmates or bring weapons to school or even torture animals, we need to take this seriously. That's the real actionable first step to preventing these kinds of tragedies from happening in the future. Friends need to speak up. Parents need to encourage their kids to tell them when they see something disturbing. We can talk about gun control laws, sure. And as I said before, new bills that make it harder for guns to fall into the wrong hands may be in order. But here's the reality. New gun control legislation probably wouldn't pass in state legislatures, almost definitely won't become law at the national level. And even if they were to pass, it's not clear they would work. Gun control laws are not a panacea. Even with the tightest gun laws, mass shootings will still happen. Doesn't mean we should give up. It does mean we need to do something now. And the something is paying more attention at home and at school and reporting red flags and acting on it. I know. No one wants to hear that there isn't the immediate solution. We can fix it doing this. Even one shooting is stopped thanks to preventative action based on a phone call, a report to police, a friend calling something in. And that would be an enormous and life-saving victory. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.